Hey guys, welcome back to Lowkey Living. This is your host, George. This episode is being dedicated to my brother, Mason, who is a valued employee at Paladin Cigars here in Fort Worth, Texas. He is one of my cigar consiglieres, and he gifted me yesterday a Joya de Nicaragua Classico Original. He informed me that would be good with a cup of coffee, and so far it is great. And so, yeah, we're gonna dedicate this episode to Mason. And so, as you can see, I have a sundry here of all things deadly, because you know what I say: if it can aim, maim, injure, or kill, give me two. And so there's all kinds of stuff you can fill your pockets with to go out there about your day to defend yourself. And so we always want to make sure that we're trying to do our very best to live in reality and not fantasy. Before you think about carrying anything to defend yourself with, you might want to look into, you can't see it up here because it's not in the shot, but USCCA, United States Concealed Carry Association. We are an official partner. And they're kind of cool. Besides all the very, very cool training that they have online, they have classes and stuff. They also provide you with insurance, criminal and civil, so that if you do use self-defense, you don't have to sit on the dark side, as we used to call it in the police department, until somebody comes in to see you. They'll send you an attorney who knows his ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to self-defense and get you out. And so that's a good thing. There's a lot of benefits to it. Too many going now. Maybe we'll dedicate a video to it. But you might want to look into that for about $35 a month. I've got a lot of friends in the biker community that are convicted felons, are prohibited from carrying a firearm. However, most of the ones that I'm close with, they all have, I always forget the acronym, USCCA. Because it covers you if you're in the right and you use self-defense and you use a tool that you were not legally prohibited from carrying, they're still going to defend you. So it's something you might want to look into. All right, that said. So there's three lines of gear. You have your first line, the things you carry in your pockets and on your belt. You have your second gear, which is your EDC bag, your bag of evil, whatever you want to call it, your get home bag, whatever. And then you have your big bag, which is kind of like your deployment bag that you fill with all kinds of stuff that you might want to leave in your truck or your car or cache out in the woods, whatever the case may be. Today we're going to talk about the stuff that you're going to carry, first line gear. The tools specifically for dealing with people problems. All right. So there's a lot of cool stuff out there that you can fill your pockets with. My brother Barry Jones from Jones Brothers Knives, he refers to the little things that he makes that you're going to see a couple of here as party favors, and that's the truth. Most of us are going to start out with a handgun, if you can start out with a handgun. And just to show you what I carry most of the time, it's just a plain Jane Gen 2 Glock 19. It's got night sights on it. And an old school stippling job about 10 or 12 years old, my buddy John Pavancello from Fotac did for me with a soldering iron. And I've held up over the years and I like it, so it's pretty cool. All right. So shout out to John P for that. So there's all kinds of stuff you can carry. There's all kinds of new pistols coming out all the time. Every time the SHOT Show stuff comes out, you have your triple micro pistols with RMRs and this and that and the other thing. All I can recommend is that you never carry a gun that is the first gen of any gun. You don't want to carry first gen anything if you don't have to, until they work the bugs out of it. And the Glock 19 is the 1911 of a Gen X. And as a Gen Xer, that's what I prefer to carry. If it's not that, it is usually a J-frame 38. So there, carry your pistol, and we'll talk about holster selection at another time. Next thing, what we're going to carry, we're going to carry a knife. Not so much for cutting people, but it can be pressed into that. And so you want to carry a knife that is a decent knife. This one, you can spend, You spend any time on the internet, you know how much money you can spend on this stuff. This one's from SendCut. I went over to House of Blades. It's here in Fort Worth, and paid my $5 because they had like an anniversary special, and they laser engraved my name on their sheepdog. So if I stab somebody up with it and I leave it in them, they'll be able to get it back to me. Mason and I were talking about how at times we've both carried, knives for cutting things and cutting people, and we have largely given up the latter. And my reason for it, more than anything else, is the practice of deploying it. Now, this thing cuts sandwiches, pizzas, Amazon boxes, the whole 9 yards, and I take it out all day, every day, with very little thought to it. Versus if I'm carrying this, or maybe the old Death Dealer 2000. If you're not familiar with the Death Dealer 2000, you're going to want to look it up here on YouTube. Maybe I got the old Taylor Cutlery, if I can get around here. The old Taylor Cutlery, the Master. Pretty cool. Looks like 2 fountain pens stuck in your pocket here. But how often are you going to pull that thing out? You don't have a trainer for it. A lot of the real high-end knives that you're going to carry for self-defense may not have trainers. So you have that thing here, but you're not very good at getting it out. When you talk to somebody who works in a chicken processing plant, or somebody who works at Walmart, maybe somebody who lays carpet, linoleum, and they use those edge implements all the time, they get pretty damn quick at getting them out and bringing them into use. And that's kind of the familiarity that you want when you're talking about your knife. So if you want to carry a fixed blade, I know fixed folding knife is by definition is a blade that's already broken in 2 pieces. But whatever lock you want, whatever, we could talk about inverted edge tactics and the chance of using a knife for self-defense. It's actually very, very slim. You probably more likely use a sniper rifle to defend yourself in your bathroom than you are to use a knife to defend yourself. But it's better to have it and not need it, kind of like a spare tire. So we got the gun, we got the knife. So I fly a lot, going back between Pennsylvania and Texas. And so when you fly, obviously, you can't carry those. They're prohibitive items. I take them with me, put them in my checked baggage. Excuse me here. Let me relight my cigar. Carry my handy dandy lighter here. Just indulge me for 1 minute. Now we're cooking. So I really did have my next thing is my pen. And I like the pen because you can have it in your hand all the time, government buildings, schools, wherever you go, and nobody thinks anything of it. I really had a real nice one, Fellhalter tie bolt that I lost and had my name and radio number on there that he gifted me, and it was awesome. So if you're seeing this, Brian, you feel bad for me, send me another one. But anyway, so as a replacement, I bought this pen from Grafton. It is my favorite non-subdued color, which is orange. It's a nice heavy-duty pen, and it writes beautifully. It takes a bunch of different refills. And so my thing is that if I'm walking down the street in daylight, or if I'm walking through a parking lot and I'm going to put something in my hand, I necessarily don't want to be a deadly force option because I'm kind of dedicated to it. And the only thing deadly force option is good at is using deadly force, like a gun or a knife. But if I walk by some people, or I think something's up, I put this thing in my hand. If somebody grabs a hold of me, I can go stab it to their face or break their concentration, and no real harm done. Like I said, the idea is you can carry it in your hand. It's a good choice, especially for women and kids that may be working in areas, going to school, whatever. They can't have a more substantial mechanical force option. So the pen's always a good idea. So when I'm flying, obviously, this is always going to be checked right in here. Going to carry it right here because where your hands go under stress, they come up here. Pull your 10 out and go stab it to the pen out and go stab it to the face. All right, next thing, a good flashlight. So in the same circumstances where I'm walking through that parking lot and it's not daylight out anymore, I have my flashlight. That would only make good sense. Anybody that sees it is going to go, hey, well, I understand why you have a flashlight in your hand. And so if you need to light somebody up with it, or just find your keys, or the keyhole for your door, whatever the case may be. But the flashlights that I like are all usually double A's. Some of them are still 1, 2, 3s. Most of them are double A's. And I like them so they're Kubotan like, about 5 to 6 inches, usually somewhere between a ½ inch to 3/4 inches in diameter. This one I've been carrying from County Com. The Meritac is pretty cool. I bought it because I'm gay over anything that glows in the dark for some reason. It has a glow in the dark tail switch here. Pretty cool. Here's another one I have from Olight. This is the ST25 Baton. I like that one. And this one is a PowerTac T2A. And they all do about the same thing. Pretty nice. And no, you're not going to blind anybody. You can cause it not even a momentary, a very quick closing of the eyes, allowing you to move or throw a strike or something. But where the thing is in these things, you have this thing in your hand, it's a good fist load, cap it right between the eyes, collarbone, whatever, right in the teeth. Kind of gives like a melon baller thing. So I like those. And like I was telling Mason, when I fly, I go from having my light is usually on my reaction side. When I fly, it's on my strong side because it would be my primary mechanical force option. All right. So we'll talk about some other things that I have carried before because they were cool. But here's the deal. If you have to use any level of force against anybody, you're probably going to be charged with some kind of a crime. And then you have your exposure in both criminal court and civil court. So, you're going to be the bad guy anyway because our culture hates self-defense. But you want to put yourself in the best possible position you can be, if at all possible. So my thing is, in the heat of the moment, fighting for your life, you don't want to hesitate by carrying things that you have to wonder whether or not they're legal or they're going to be effective. So one of the big go-tos for all the time and a long time with Alpha Innovations, I designed a knuckle called the Jaw Jacker. It wasn't it wasn't brass knuckles, but it was knuckles. And this particular set is very near and dear to me because I took it off a drug dealer that was using it to rob other drug dealers when I was a cop. And so he took a cheap, very, very cheap pair of knuckles and he put some kind of foam padding in there and wrapped it up with electrical tape. And by the way, when you use these, you don't use them like that straight on because what you will do is you will break your fingers. When you use knuckles, knuckle dusters, you hold them like that, and it's a raking type thing. And you can also strike forward, up or down. But I said, so how would you use them? He said, well, he goes, I just know the guy that was holding the money. He said, I walk up, and he goes, and I just hit him in the mouth as hard as I could. And then I take his money. So he had a warrant at the time. I picked up on a warrant, and I said, if I can have these, I won't charge you with carrying them. He said that was fair because I just wanted them in my collection because when I was a cop, you could do stuff like that. But anyway, now here's an interesting little toy. This is from Jones Brothers. I believe I was never supposed to show this on camera anywhere, but here it is. This is one of the Jones Brothers popper because I think I may have the only one in orange, I think was the thing because I love the color orange. So what it's for opening bottles. And the idea is that you hold it like so as a knuckle and you strike with it. Again, that's pretty, it may be effective during an individual attacker, but the problem is that that's what it's going to be good for. And so you're going to have to drop this if you're going to go to another option. And if it was the only option I had, then it's not the option that I would choose, but it is very cool. And I would not want to get hit with it. So go back to something like, and the other thing when you're carrying things, as far as the cops go and things like that, you don't want to carry anything where people go, hey, what is that? When people see a flashlight, they see a pen, they see a gun, they see a knife, they know what it's for. Here's something very cool. But again, people are like, well, what is that? The people are not in the know. And this is the Crawford credit card knife. And this thing is pretty cool, titanium, so it makes it twice as cool. And it comes with a really cool little sheath right here. It might be a little holdout, and I have accidentally carried this through airport security several times. Um, and the way that I have it set up and the way they have the sheath set up is has a draw cord on there. And so when you put your finger in there, you pull this thing out. And so your edge coming up is up. So if somebody reaches out for you using inverted X tactics, they reach out for you, you trap the arm, and you just cut it all the way down like a piece of garden hose. And then they leave you alone. So there's a good possibility of getting, caught with that and getting in trouble for it, or at least getting it confiscated by some cop that keeps people's things sometimes, like I used to, instead of charging them, but it was their choice. And so it's a very cool little thing. You might want maybe carry it as a hideout tool, but most time it's just something neat to look at. All right. So why I'm talking about the things that are obviously weapons and not weapons, and you have a couple things by my brother from another mother, Kelly Warden. You have the travel wrench. The travel wrench is effective if you have any skill with it, except for just the striking. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And the idea behind the travel wrench is that it has different size holes on here that meet different size, sockets. And you can move it around, put the clip different place, you can use it. But as soon as you look at it, people go, what is that? So that kind of rules it out for me. Then you have, this one is, I forget, this is the travel wrench too, or what? No, it is the safety wrench, also by Kelly Warden. This one's really cool, and this would be a very, very, very effective tool. Unfortunately, what it has going against it is when you look at it, people are like, what the heck is that? As soon as you pick it up and you have any level of training, you know exactly what it is. You have this strike, and then you have my hammer fist strike, which is absolutely my favorite strike, whether it's in the face, into the collarbones, to animate the arm. But again, people go, what the heck is that? So again, very, very, both these things are very, very light, but they do take up space. I don't know how much you'd be able to use them. One of my favorite things in the world, and when I first came on, right as I came on, they were stopped letting the officers carry them, was saps. I got a bunch of very cool ones from D3 Protection. I think this is a crocodile one from, I believe, Foster Brothers. I would not want to get hit with this bad boy. So Texas, from what I understand recently, has dropped a ban on carrying those as prohibited weapons. I don't want to let that go out. So I would carry one of these. Now, some of you might know that daily I earn my living as a dog trainer. And so this is one in particular that I will slip in my pocket because it has the pocket clip, makes it very, very carryable. And so if two dogs lock up, and I have to break them up and I'm not getting anywhere, and you typically don't when you're striking a dog to make them get off another dog. You never know what can happen. It gives me an option besides having to shoot the dog. That's the way I look at it. Now, probably my favorite sap, and the one I probably carried the most, so you can see it's got the most, vintage look to it, is probably my coin sap from Foster Brothers. You fill it. I believe I have 130 dimes in here. Dimes pack the best when you're looking to pack this thing through. And it's going to do exactly what you need to do. I love the thumb loop out of the back pocket, retains it, and you come up. And most people, when they strike with a sap, they want to come out to the side like they do with a stick. My favorite strike with a hand and my favorite strike with a sap or with a stick is coming up underneath the chin where they don't see it coming. And then you can kind of go to work from there. This another one, I believe this might be, I think this is from D3 Protection as well. This is a little blackjack, difference between a sap and a blackjack. Blackjack, or correction, the sap is usually filled with sand, even though this one's filled with dimes. And this has a piece of lead on the end of a coil. So they're pretty cool. But of all the ones that I was going to carry, of all the saps and jacks that I have, it would probably be this one most of the time. But because of working with the dogs and it being legal in Texas, I carry this one. And really, the only real reason is simply because of just that pocket clip makes it easier for me to carry in my cargo pockets. Now, now I'm really dating myself for those that have been around long enough to know the old Chody machine and tool that used to make gun stocks. I don't know if they still do. The executive ice scraper, the CIA letter opener, all that kind of stuff. This is the ice scraper, and I found this one at a fun show a couple years ago. And it's the executive ice scraper, and this one's actually made out of metal, and that's why I picked it up. I had not seen one made out of metal before. Maybe somebody has more information on that where you can get them. But these are cool. If you live in the type of environment, excuse me, where it gets cold and you have ice on your windshield, especially like say for your wife or you or whatever, and you're out there and you're scraping. I wouldn't use this on my windshield. I would use the plastic one or the resin one on my windshield. But if somebody came up to you and grabbed you from behind while you had this in your hand and you hit them with it, yeah, it's definitely going to leave a mark, especially if you hit it anywhere around the facial area. But again, not something you want to carry around in your pocket because you're going to say, hey, where's the vehicle and where's the ice? So you want to have just something that, I look at maybe like a mom is in the minivan. She got the minivan warming up. She's got a couple kids in there and she's out and she's having to clear the ice off of the windshield. And so she's exposed and she's got to take care of the kids. That might not be a bad option for that instance. Maybe something to think about. When we come back to some other ideas, this was from D3 Protection. This is called the Knock Senseless, and this is race skin. And again, this is packed with dimes, probably about, I don't know, maybe 100 of them. And this is a coin purse. So you have palm saps. So you have the palm sap. And so the idea is that you're walking down the street. You never know when you're going to need to feed the meter. These days, you're probably going to be, a credit card or whatever. But anyway, but you take that. And so the idea is that this one, you come up and you come around and you strike. But it's a pretty neat little thing. Again, that's called the Knock Senseless. I haven't spoke to D3 in a long time, and I don't know if they're still making these. So I want to talk to him because I want to start featuring some of his stuff again. But this thing is just pretty cool. And then one of my favorites, this is a D3. This is a finger sap. So I haven't weighed this thing, but the idea, it looks like a little gladiator shield there. The same thing. You come up here and that bone right there or into the temple, you can kill somebody. So definitely only for a deadly force type situation, but that's pretty cool. Next to the pen, I'm a huge fan of the Jones Brothers stylus. I believe, and Barry will correct me, but this is made of what he refers to as Garolite, which is like super, super, super heavy duty. It has a mental point. I do not want to mess mine up by trying to drive it through anything, but I also would not want to. I would describe this thing as as almost like a scribe as a stylus. I would not want to get hit with this thing. It'll do some serious damage. Again, you can carry this in depending on who you are, the chances you want to take, non-permissive environments, and tuck that in there with your pen. But if you got to, do your little thing on your tablet or your phone, well, there you go. That's your little stylus there. Something else I really like, I'm a huge fan of, but again, of course I love it, is titanium. I really love this. This is the Jones Brothers Mini Cyclone Stick. It's got a very, very cool pocket clip on there. And I've done videos about all the cool stuff that you can do with this as far as balance manipulation and striking and everything. Again, the problem is it's a little heavy. But when people look at it, they go, what is that? We want to avoid carrying any tools that draw attention like that. Now, probably my favorite, cigar is out, probably my favorite Jones Brothers tool was one that I had something to do with. And that is this little guy. So it eludes me what Barry called this. I can't remember right now for the life of me, but I was doing in a back at years ago. I was doing a demo at a knife show of a Hojo Jitsu, which is the Japanese art of binding. Now, if you look up Hojo Jitsu, you're going to find some combative stuff and you're going to find some kinky stuff. So, whichever you're interested, that's the one that you can focus on. But yeah, so this thing doesn't look like a whole lot. And again, before the video, I remember what it was called. Now I don't. But the idea with this thing is very simply, I have this. It's wrapped around my arm, and that quick, and it's got 2 titanium washers. That quick, I have this. So what is this? This is a garrote. All right. And so right now, it's really only good versus one person versus, one person. However, as soon as you take this and you have your padlock that you, of course, would always travel with, and you put this in here and you put your hand through it, now you have a weapon that you can use against multiple attackers as a flail and keep them away from you. And this is just a padlock I picked up here in the garage. But again, I would not going to get hit with that thing. So some people would grab it and just pull it down there. I would actually want to have this thing in my hand. Whoops. Like this. Whoops. Wrapped around my thumb or wrapped around my pinky, and there's my flail. So that's pretty cool. So we covered a lot of stuff. We're going to do a lot more stuff about weapons. I take requests if you guys want me to discuss a certain weapon or whatever it is you want me to discuss, all right? So in closing, the things that you want to make sure you carry as far as weapons on your body. So you want to carry your primary handgun. Depending on who you are, what you do for a living, you might want to carry a backup. Want to carry a folding knife for cutting pizzas and people. You want to carry a pen to write stuff with and stab people in the face with during the day. At night, you want to carry an impact weapon, flashlight. Okay, remember, kind of Kubotan size. And then if I'm going to throw something in here and I can legally carry a sap, don't carry a sap if you can't legally carry one, because you're filling up pocket space with something that you're going to hesitate, you're not going to use anyway. And while you're hesitating, you're not drawing something that one of these things that you could probably legally use. So that's about it from my point of mind as far as EDC and mechanical self-defense options. Again, it's all open hand. So remember, guys, mindset, training, and tools in that order. I appreciate you stopping in and watching. And again, this cigar was absolutely excellent. It's a nice light smoke. Again, a Hoya de Nicaragua Classico original from Paladin Cigars in Fort Worth, Texas, recommended by my brother Mason. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. And until next time, keep it low key.